Oh man, hit that meeting button. Woo! What a morning. AMRX got 15% in the first minute or two of trading. SPT is still running up 9%. We have VMC in a good position, AEP in a good position. CLNE dropped to where we wanted to be, right? Yesterday's calls were noise. They're looking real good. All I can say is mission passed. It's been a good morning. Well, welcome back. I am Evan with Fifth Third Trading. It's a pleasure to see you again. This channel is made for all of us who have a 9-to-5 job. It also is made for all of us who are beginners and intermediate traders. If you buy a lot of big stocks that are called on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, TikTok, all those things, that's great. But you need to learn the technical analysis to properly trade them and then to build up your portfolio and watch lists correctly. That's what I'm here for. Yesterday we called 20 plays, which will be on the screen right now. They're all doing fairly well. There was some red, but again, a little bit of red, all that means is a better price to buy in. I hope you're getting something out of this. I hope you're learning. I hope you're getting some free plays. I hope you're making some money. What I want you to do is before every single stock that we have, there's a 5-second screen with a ticker on it. I want you to pause my video. I want you to go to your Webull, to your Thinkorswim, to your TradingView, whatever it is. I want you to find the supports. I want you to find the resistances, and I want you to create channels and trend lines. I want you to do it by yourself and see what I'm seeing. Are they going to be perfectly matched up? No, but I want you to get comfortable seeing what I'm doing. But before you see me do it, I want you to try your best at it, and if it matches up, it means you're catching on to something. After that, turn on whatever indicators that you like. It could be RSI, MACD, stochastic, EMA lines. That's what I use. Turn those on after you've done the price action alone, and then I want you to kind of jot down or think to yourself, all right, this stock follows RSI better or stochastic better. Again, just to get practice in. I found ones, I've cherry picked some great ones for you with these watch lists, but you need to learn how to do this by yourself to be successful. With that being said, we're at 720 subscribers in a little over 3 weeks. It's obvious folks enjoy this content. I implore you to please subscribe, comment, bell notification, and please share this with your friends, colleagues, coworkers, family, whoever needs help during these trying times. I'm here to offer a free service, a free community to help them out. So if you can help me out, I'd love to help you guys out. Risk is not knowing what you're doing, and I'm here to help. Let's jump into it. So our first stock is CDXC, ChromaticsCorporation.com. We've called this before. We called it actually right here. And if you remember correctly, we had a lovely day with CDXC. And obviously it really blew its load and now it's coming back down. This line is acting as a support again. It was a very strong resistance, right? This was such a beautiful ascending triangle and it blasted up. What's more gorgeous is now we can consider this area as the top of the triangle, right? Because now we can justify any price in this area, anywhere up here. Could be the resistance, we don't know. It could be as high as this where these match up. It could be where these match up, I don't know. But I know that the limit is $5.73. Anywhere in here should be our goal at all times now. So with it breaking and doing that, it just has such beautiful price action. This channel is so strong. And it's getting close to it again. Now it tapped in here, so I guess you could buy today at $5.10. Your stop loss needs to be below this channel, probably $4.94. I'd be a little bit more bold with this one. I'm cool with being a bit more bold. You could probably go down to $4.79. Anywhere in here, anywhere past this bottom candle at $4.90. Anywhere below that is probably going to be pushing it for a comeback. But as long as it's in channel, I'm happy. So what a gorgeous play we had. We're going to go for it again just because it has this potential of making gigantic blast offs. Are there any that are big red ones? No, not from this area. It has this giant sell-off, but it's because you had a giant blast, right? But there's been nowhere in the history of the stock of massive drop-offs that were not preceded by a big green candle, right? That's key. We have a lot of push-ups and then some slow burn downs, or a big push-up and then a big push down. there's no big push down to a big push up, right? We have a lot of stocks that kind of drop down. You want to play off of that. But as we can see, it's just going up and then coming back down the channel. Let's check the indicators. The indicators look great as well. The 50 EMA is being held really, really well here. The 200's right below it, so it definitely has steam. And we can see it respects both of them highly historically, just bouncing off both of them, and it's above both. So that's a really good sign. RSI is a fair price. That makes sense. It has such a big blast up. I'm sure it may come down a little bit farther into the 39 area, the 40 area. Stochastic can get a bit lower, and I do not see any signs of a divergence yet. You could say right here and up is not the same as right here and down. So I guess it is a divergence developing. We'll see if it keeps going. If it goes lower, that will not be a divergence then. But if it holds here, divergence. And MACD's still low-key kind of worthless. I got to find a new indicator for that. But the indicators look great. The history looks great. I mean, it could fall a little bit farther, but again, giving this channel and just the price action, CDXC is a bop. Next is CTLT, Catalent Inc. Com. So this has great price action as well. You could use the channel. I used a line that's such a pure area. So I guess you could draw a channel. That's fine if you want to have some more encompassing moves for historical reasons. This is interesting because I just found this the other day and it took off. So we've missed about 6% of this move. But I wouldn't be too worried about that because you have our volume line acting as a resistance. So as you can see, it gets close to it and dies. And as of right now, you have a support. This is now a support because it broke above it, and then your channel down here. What's beautiful is this downtrend, which I drew in orange here, it got broken, and it got retested, and it's taking off. So there's a good chance it's going to come back down tomorrow or the next day. You can just see it comes up green, and it came down. But that's also during a downtrend. So giving the uptrend, this is now a support for us. And you can just see it is a long-term triangle, right? Resistance down, breakout, resistance, right? So it looks like it's testing new waters for us. I'm sure if we were to take this and see just like that, you see how that made a channel for us, right? That looks really, really nice as well. So we know we have room to run at least another 12%. Let's check the indicators. So the indicators are split, honestly. So this is definitely a channel that's developed, as you can see. It's super nice. You have a support here, and it looks like it's kind of a stairway up. Like it kind of makes a channel, breaks above, makes a channel, breaks above. So given that we're close to a channel, your support and resistance and your stop loss are going to be farther away. Yeah, 5%. But given the history, I wouldn't be all that worried about it. But giving our indicators, it broke the 50 today. That's huge. It's above the 200, which is what makes this channel, right? Which is huge. So use the 200 as your stop loss, which is already a little bit higher than your support area. So you could use this line here, your volume line, as the support. If it breaks that, cut it. But again, the 200 will keep moving up, which is what you want to see. The RSI is fair price, but 60 is high. So, I mean, it's going to have to reset itself. But again, RSI seems kind of stupid for this stock because this slow burn down, it's such a high peak here that all these candles are really throwing it off from over here. When historically, it's really kind of in the middle. It's a higher end, but again, given that it keeps creeping up, 60 is kind of high. I mean, I don't think that's a very fair price. Stochastic is going to come back down, which makes sense. I mean, it could fall down, but, do these price actions match, right? I don't think so. I don't think it's that kind of shape. So again, that's kind of worthless. And then MACD is actually pretty representative of the stock for once. So MACD looks like the most clear when it comes to price action. So the MACD says it has room to run. So I guess the indicators are kind of split because you have the EMA lines and MACD looking really, really good. But the stochastic and RSI, which I usually like, doesn't look good here. The stochastic doesn't even represent the price action that well. So I disregard that. RSI is okay. It's all right. So I think it's split, but price action wise, I love it. Just decide, do you want to have a stop loss at $96, or you want to have one at the 200 EMA line? I would be comfortable doing the 200 EMA line. If you want to wait for it to come back down and test, that's fine, because it broke that downtrend. It's a really good looking stock though for your watch list. CTLT is a great stock. All right, so next is Eaton, ETN. What a beautiful channel. Now again, we could kerfuffle all day. You know, we could go back and forth and say this is the proper channel down here. This is actually a wedge, blah, 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 blah. You can see you're an adult. You can tell that these are never going to be perfect. You have to be open understanding that sometimes it's a support, it's a volume. It really just depends. But Eaton, ETN has a beautiful channel regardless of where you want to put the supports at. That is going to dictate when you want to buy in. If you really like it being a little bit lower, you got a little bit of time to wait. You have also higher opportunity that's in takeoff without you. So you want to have, the more risk you want to take on, the closer to this line you want to be to buy in inside the channel. So as we get closer, right, once it hits this $112 spot or when it hits this golden line, I'll buy in, right? Because this isn't a lot, okay? If you bought in early here, you lost 2% for a few days, then you made it right back. So I wouldn't stress too much about, you know, really getting too close to this. But you have a support area here, right? You see it stopped action, and then it tested it. So this is definitely an area of support and resistance. As this comes down, you know, just be prepared to dictate your profits based off of this downtrend, right? Until we break above downtrends, you know, that's going to kind of cap our limit of profit until it really breaks above it, right? So every time you see a downtrend, like over here, you see that, how it was downtrending, and then it broke above it. That whole time, it really kind of, you know, stopped it from moving. So keep that in mind. But this is a beautiful, beautiful channel. Let's check the indicators. So when we really look at the indicators, the 200 EMA just bounces off the page to anybody who likes technical analysis. Boop, 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 boop. Right, so I guess you can say this channel has room to drop to 110, which again is 3.5% away. No one's gonna lose that much sleep about that, but to see 3.5 green percent compared to red is kind of a big deal to some people. So keep that in mind. The channel obviously is kind of formulating behind the 200 EMA. The 50 is respected for these mid-cap bounces. You see how in the middle here it bounces off the 50. So the 50 is respected for sure. And you can see currently it's below it, so that's going to be a resistance going forward. The RSI is oversold beautifully, great. Stochastic, try to curl a little baby bit, and then it died. So it has room to run down. That's definitely a divergence though. That's lower here, but that's higher here. If price action doesn't match the chart, that's a divergence. So that is showing some form of life here, right? It's saying there is a reversal impending coming. And then MACD can't get much lower. All the indicators are on your side. If you have money to buy ETN, I certainly would. It's a fantastic stock. Next is FEYE. We had probably one of our best plays last month off of this, and it wasn't even on the chart, or it's not a chart right now. We had this uptrend right here, which I took off because it obviously died. I bought in here. I was like, oh man, it's coming. And then we got a deal that night. 20%, real easy after market. That was beautiful. And we're going to try this again because we could have bought in at the support. I didn't call it because I wasn't sure. It hit the channel and we made a few easy percentages, or as I did. I can't call everything all the time. And then it bounced back down. That's definitely a double bottom. And now it's retesting this support. Now, I guess you have two options. I guess if you're more risk averted, I would certainly wait for it to get lower. But let's be honest. All right, this is a beautiful ascending triangle, large scale, right? Up, down, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, right? If you want to wait for 3%, you know, that's only 3.5% away. Wait. All right, but you may be missing by doing that, by trying to be so risk averted, you may miss an easy 12% play or even a 25% play. Right, if you muff this up and you buy in too early and it comes down here, or even down here, right, you may lose some percentages, but you're also losing a massive chance at a massive move. FEYE is a beautiful chart, beautiful ascending triangle, right? You have your volume line acting as a resistance. That's your long-term support, right? So you can say this is just a big channel, but you give this history of just higher lows, I wouldn't let 3% scare me away, especially when it tapped down. And now it's showing life again, right? This is high. This is higher than here, and that's showing life right here. Let's check our indicators, but the price action is beautiful. The indicators look pretty okay, I'll be honest. Your EMA lines are going to act as resistances. The 200 is what it loves. I mean, it bounces off of it constantly, even like right here. Boop, boop. And then it breaks through with some steam, right? It hits it, breaks through with some steam, breaks through with some steam, right? So that's going to be resistance going forward. You got to keep that in mind. But it is, you know, a good 80 cents away, so you got some room. When it's oversold, right? It got oversold here, and you would have lost money. But you got oversold again, and it made some money. Oversold here, you made some money. So I wouldn't consider oversold to be vitally important, but you can, you know, you can move this up to about 35, 40, and you can kind of go through it again and see even around 35 RSI, you're getting a good deal. When it comes to the stochastic, again, it looks like this is not really a divergence, but over here we had see that beautiful divergence. So like that right there is such a clear one for what we called. That's why you got that, right? And so that's not really showing up, but again, it's curling. So I think it has some room to drop. So if you're waiting for that to drop down in the channel, you may get it. But again, it has a history of just like, you know, muddling around and dropping down. You see how it dropped down a bunch, but that was just all green? I mean, that could happen here. It may drop down with some green. It's not a perfect indicator, but the MACD can't get much lower, which shows you that volume is coming. So the indicators are on your side for sure. These three are. The EMA lines are going to be a problem going forward. So make sure you keep an eye on those. As soon as it breaks above these, you're going to see massive movements. That's when it happens, right? When it breaks both EMA lines, you get massive, massive movements. So if you want to wait, you totally can, but I'd rather get in with a good deal where it is now. But for the future, FEYE is a fantastic stock for your watch list and for tomorrow. Next is GSKY, GSKY. We call GSKY right here. I even said it's still a bit too volatile for me, given the history. And we would have bought in here, we would have made an easy 36%. Now, I did not buy it, but I called it, which is half the battle, I guess. We're calling it again. Now, you have, again, two options. You see this downtrend, which shows that it is kind of losing life, but again, it curled and then it kind of showed life here. So I would consider this part of the movement different than this part because it hit rock bottom and then it showed life. Right here, right, it was still downtrending. Now you can consider it uptrending, right? If we see a higher low here, we're in the green in a very good way. Kind of like over here. It tapped and went, oh, and then it tested this and it took off. That's kind of our goal here, right? Because if I were to scroll over, you can see it was definitely downtrending before. So you have two options, and I want you to be very, very clear about this. This is a very volatile stock. You can lose a lot of money or you can make a lot of money. If it comes down and tests 393 and doesn't hold, you need to cut it, okay? Because if you want to hold on to it in one day, like over here, you can easily lose 13%, right? If you want to mess around and find out, GSKY wants all your smoke. It wants it for sure. It will destroy your whole entire earnings. So from here down to 394 in this area, 3.5%. You can eat that, okay? You can eat that as a loss and you can be okay. If you want to hold on to it longer than that, down to here, I'm sure you can make that back up, but holding a negative 15% is stupid, so I wouldn't do that. You'll also notice as we kind of look around, these big moves, right, have a lot of volume, right? We're sitting at probably the lowest volume area. See how right in this area, vertically, very low volume. Over here, very low volume. If we look at how long this took, 24 days. We're on day 23. So I guess we're kind of getting near where you may see some volume pick up and some action. So you can buy in now if you want to, and then cut here at 393 if it doesn't live. If it does live, go long because you're going to easily make at least 12%. And if it breaks above this, 17, and your next goal will probably be around 32%. And then if you hold this for a long term, if it really shows life, it's great. But again, you need to be very cognizant. You can lose your whole entire account messing with this one. Let's check our indicators. So it looks like it really respects the EMA lines, especially the 50, because it's so much more volatile. Probably never gets really that close to the 200. But you can tell the 200 is very important. Like it hits here and just kind of like, and consolidates and breaks down. This definitely was an opportunity for a break up, right? But it didn't live. So the EMA lines will be resistances moving forward. So be very careful and cognizant of that. And again, when it breaks above them, you know, it makes really big moves. So if you see that happen, great. The stochastic can't get much lower. I mean, this thing is getting beat down. So, I mean, I think it's going to show some real life here soon. MACD looks worthless as always. And then your RSI looks to be a very, very good indicator when it has price action. Like these areas that we're kind of in, like these lateral, like it doesn't really seem to have any kind of, proper indication. But negative, it's a 34. When it hits 30, it's going to be on a lot of folks' scanners. And last time it hit 30, like I called it, it went up 37%. Not a big deal. Just kidding, that's huge. So if that happens and it drops down here again, I'd be comfortable buying at 394. I may buy this tomorrow pre-market. I'll see how it acts today. It's only 245. But, risking 2% for 30 with the indicators kind of on your side, especially if it breaks the EMA lines, sheesh, that's a good play. GSKY, put it on your watch list. Next is JILL Jill. Very similar, just harshness as GSKY. We called JILL over here. We said, hey, it's in channel. You should really check it out. And I had some friends who did, and they wrote it up for an easy few percentage. If you held till today, you're up 6%, but JILL has been very good to those who bought into it. This is a little bit different of a setup than it was before, though, because we're still in channel, right? And I guess you could take, this is where the issue a lot of people have with these really big sticks is that they're like, all right, here's the downtrend. It broke above it, it's good. Or like, oh, here it is, or here it is, or here it is, right? You don't want to take any of these big candles and do that unless it's the next candle over. You always got to make sure you connect the next candle that's high over, right? You don't want to come over here and be like, well, it's still technically downtrending because these two over here, if it wants to work, these two over here match like that, technically downtrending, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, you got to make sure if you're going to do a downtrend, it's that candle to the next peak, right? Make sure you're always connecting peak to peak. Don't skip any. That's, that's sloppy work. We don't do that. So given that right here, you can see it was downtrending as it clearly followed it. It tested it. And then it broke down, right? It's a fake out. But again, it came back up and now it's retesting it. So technically speaking, we're technically still downtrending because you can see we have lower lows with wicks, and I always trust wicks. That's okay. But we're in channel. And so far, if you've held through channel, you've made money. And so I think with it being a downtrend that's now being tested, as you can see, if it holds here and goes long, you can make a lot of money. I mean, we're talking easily 14%, but just like with GSKY, you need to have a plan. You need to know where your supports are, right? Obviously, somewhere in this area, anywhere in here is going to be your support area. So if it breaks this and the channel, you need to get out. You will lose a lot of money. But again, you see a bunch of just big old green wicks. I mean, it hasn't had any big red ones. It's always been after run-ups, except for this one recently. But that's, again, I think just because of the market. But, man, big green wicks. Let's see if we can hit one. Let's check the indicators. So this is why I like to do them separate because you can just see the legit spaghetti over here. Like, it's so hard to read. But, again, it's convergence in action. So you can see JIL really just rides the 200 EMA line, this red one. You see how it rides it? So I guess you could comfortably wait to buy in here. But again, that's 8% and the market's green. You want to wait 8% red. That's a stretch. And you can see there's plenty of money being made in between this tapping. That was a good 30 days. So you can wait another 30 days for it if you really want to. I mean, you can watch list it. But I mean, we're talking, this channel above it's just as good and, a little bit more risky, but, that's kind of the name of the game. It's above the 200, but below the 50. That's going to play a role for sure. As you can see, it likes to hug it really, really closely. RSI is fair price. It should be a little bit lower, I think. Stochastic is, slowly climbing up. That makes sense, right? It's slowly making higher higher lows. And then MACD, again, is flatlining. But again, with the MACD, consolidation means a big move's coming, right? You like to see kind of some level of condensing. And as you can see, every single time over here, we've had condensing and lowering, bip, big old move, right? Some condensing, bip, big old move. So I'm hoping soon, because it's kind of going up, we're going to kind of see, and then a big old takeoff, right? Do I guarantee it? Absolutely not. But do I think we have the setup for one? Yeah, I do. So Jill's really good. Follow the channel. 200 EMA is going to be your stop loss. But I mean, over the last, 111 days, the last 4 months, been really good price action here. Let's keep it going. Next is LL, Cool J. So as we can see, this is our main area of focus, is this channel. So you see like some really good price actions and good peaks. So we have definitely an ascending wedge here, and I say wedge because you can easily see that there's higher highs, but they're not as high as they should have been, right? Like this was, 36%. We technically should have seen another 36%, which would have put us up here, right? We should have seen a level of channeling of equal movements, right? But we're not seeing that's wedging. So this is a support area right here. Obviously, it was a resistance. Resistance was a resistance. It got blasted through, right? Got blasted through. When you see big moves through something, that means it's a resistance or a support as well. So it's holding here. Now again, it could go up another easy 9% here, or it could collapse on you. But again, you buy in right now, we're talking a stop loss around 4% lost, which is a good amount. So I mean, you could wait. I'm never against waiting if it makes sense to you. But I mean, it's technically tapped up here, and now it should be coming back down. So it's still technically in downtrend. I'm just putting it on your radar. If it comes down to $29 or anywhere near this other wick down here, I would certainly buy in. There's a chance it holds here. There's a, very clearly usually goes up and then it kind of will muddle off and then make a big move or drop, or make a small move and then drop down heavily. But if this support holds tomorrow, it could be some really quick, easy money. But again, until I see, it has higher lows technically, but it has lower highs. So I guess it's technically a triangle. But let the stock show you its hand, right? Let the stonk gods come through and say it's still downtrending or it's reversing here finally, right? Let them show you that with the price action. Don't rush into it. But if you like the setup, go ahead. But LL moving forward is a very pretty wedge here. Let's check the indicators. And this is where you may make a different decision than this price action. You can see historically it really likes this 50 EMA. It just bounces off it plenty. Like here it's bouncing. How many times can I say bouncing? That's a real question. So you can see it's really bouncing off of it, and here we go. It's bouncing off it again. So maybe it's less of a wedge and much more of just an EMA play, right? If it bounces here, you could technically probably make money until $31 and some change. So like maybe an easy 4 or 5%. We'll take that, right? And then maybe this line should be your stop loss, like I was just talking about. So let it bounce off the 50 EMA. If you don't like this, which I'm sure some of you are like, I don't like these kinds of plays. That's why I give you a variety. Wait for it to come down to the golden line and then retry it. If you don't like that, you just wait for the 200 EMA. Now the 200, you gotta be careful because it does break it. Like this is much more of like an elastic kind of support. Like it definitely doesn't, just hold it, firmly. Like it kind of seems to have some wiggle to it when it comes to breaking it. So we're talking, you may get some red. You got to wait 4 days, or like here you got to wait 7 days, right? So if it comes down that far, sure, I would definitely go for it. But I mean, you got to realize you're not going to have super duper quick reversal sometimes, right? So those are your options. RSI is fair. Stochastic can get too much lower. It can. It definitely can break the negative 40 area and keep going. MACD is crossing over. So it's technically still downtrending. But again, these plays off the 50 EMA make a lot of sense. If you don't like these plays, do the wedge. If you don't like those plays, do the 200 EMA, right? You got some options. It depends on how much risk you're taking on. But Lumber Liquidators, LL, is a great stock for the future. NEW. We called this last week. We said, hey, you got some room to play here, but have a stop loss. And of course we did. It got stopped out. And now it's showing life at this support area, which we said this is probably your best bet of money. Today, if you bought in, you'd be up 3% off of that line. It's obviously downtrending, right? So I guess technically speaking, from right here, you have a good amount of room to drop to be at the bottom of this downtrend. That would be your perfect play, right? If it actually, I wish it would have broken down to 5.5 today. Would have been dope. But this area seems to be where a lot of price action stops and starts. Given that, this could be your stop loss. So you come over here, wherever you want to buy at, this will be your stop loss. 4% is quite a lot, but this stock has, again, some volatility behind it. You can easily make another 12% if it runs the course, which it does. You go over here, we'll extend this left. You come over here, it does that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And this was definitely a descending triangle, obviously, right? But that's why it broke down. That's why this broke down, right? But again, we have a good, over here we had a good 30 days of abusing this. So you have 30 days from right now of this hitting this area. Yeah, see 35 days over here to do this. You can buy in now. It will emulate what it did in this channel, right? It goes up, maybe 11%, comes down. 11% comes down. 11% comes down. 11%. That's going to be your goal here. And you also got to think about this volume node is the main volume area. This is why to pull it up, right? It's like get higher, right? And this volume area is very, very strong. So I'd buy in tomorrow or today. This is going to be your stop loss. But I can't see it breaking lower than this, honestly. And when it does break above this downtrend, because I mean stocks can go up, they can consolidate, they can go down. When this breaks above it, it's going to go crazy. Let's check the indicators. So the good news is it's the first time being oversold in a long time. And last time it really did that, it really just went oversold. And then it went up 11% the next day. So this has some real powder keg momentum going forward. It can really go crazy. You can see it tested the 200 EMA and died. Luckily, that is a good, yeah, dude, like 31% away. Yeah, don't worry about that. RSI looks good. Stochastic can't get much lower. And again, you can see from here, that's the fair point right there, to here is definitely not showing the same thing, right? This is definitely not, that's definitely not the same thing, okay? So that's showing that's going to eventually break. And this is also nonsense, but yeah, you're fine. So that's definitely a bullish sign. This is going to eventually have to reverse somewhere in some way, right? MACD can't get much lower. It's a great value, all right? It's a downtrend, which I don't usually play, but given the value of everything and how it's been consistently hitting this bottom line and then bouncing up, I think NEW with a proper stop loss in play is a fantastic buy. Before you even say anything, I will start calling some big caps when they look good. NIO looks good. Now, I saw it over here, and it's already gone up another 4%, so I don't know how much better it's going to be. I wouldn't buy it at this rate tomorrow if it keeps going green, just because you don't want to buy in the middle of a channel. Then you're stuck. That's where people are like, well, is it going to go down? Is it going to go up? I don't know. It's not really a good place because your stop loss is 6% away. But even if you don't want to play this, what did I see to call it? Well, I don't like these kinds of plays. It's such a volatile, goes up, comes down. It's obviously showing, like a head and shoulders, like, oh, peak, peak, peak. So, I mean, it has a good chance of breaking down. It's still downtrending, but again, this was a very strong support area that coexisted with an old trend line, right? Because sometimes broken trend lines will become supports, just like with resistances. And so that matched up, and then your old channel here also matched up. So I was like, that's 3 support, trend line. That's really good. So I was like, all right, I'll buy it if it goes up. If I would have bought it, it would be up 5% already, which is okay. Let's check the indicators to see where we're at. So of course, you are probably going to use NIO as a 5-day, 10-day kind of chart. I always stick to the big one. You could also see the 200 EMA was just there, and you can see it bounced off of here. So clearing it again is a really good sign. The stochastic couldn't get much lower, and it's starting to reverse. It was oversold over here and had massive gains. It's getting sold over here, almost at 30, but now it's kind of curling back up. I mean, every time it hits down this low, overbought. This low, overbought. This low, overbought. So I mean, you're gonna make some money off of this, I think, either way. Now, I'm nervous because it's such a big hype stock, and the 50 EMA, which it also respects, obviously, is above it. So maybe you'll make 8% off of this. That's good money. I mean, it's not too expensive. But I would be nervous just because it needs to break this. And when it does break this, it's going to break above it. It's going to go, oh, it's going to come back down. And then it's going to go, oh, that's what it's going to do. That's what all these do. Breaks above, retest, goes off. And I don't mean like it may not take a day. It may be like 1 hour, comes down, keeps going. So, I mean, you got to be very cognizant of that. But NIO, given the price action, the price structure, I mean, if it lives here, it's going to keep going. I mean, it's going to be great. But being in the middle of this channel, I don't love. But again, my reasoning behind it is there for you to research. But it's a good stock either way. PNW, we called Pinnacle West Capital before, and it died. Now, we called it here. and we made 2%, and then we broke even and I sold it. And I've been waiting for it to see where it's going to go. I thought maybe it'll reverse here. It didn't. Thought maybe here. It didn't. Pardon me. So we had a beautiful channel. It got ruined, but now we're in this golden channel area. The reason I say that was a lot of price action stops and starts here, right? You can see a lot of candles coming into it, bouncing around, going out, bouncing into it, coming into it. This is where a lot of the action happens. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks, 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks. It kind of does this thing where it kind of makes 1, 2, 3, 4. It does this a lot where it kind of like will show some life then die, right? Triple tops, where you want to call them. It does this a lot. This is definitely a head and shoulders play, as you can see, 1, 2, 3. So if it breaks beyond here, there's a good chance it's going to really die on us. But if it lives here, that's really good news. Ironically, it tapped this little hammer candle, boop, and showed some life. So I would be comfortable buying it tomorrow because $79, your stop loss can be right past it, 78, 77 and some change. You have plenty of room to work with this. And if it lives here, you have plenty of room to run. I mean, you have easily 4% here, 9%, possibly 15%. If it really dies on us, I wouldn't be that salty. If it comes down to here, 72, sheesh, then we're talking, hopefully even 70. If that happens, we'll make a butt ton of money. So we'll see what it does, but if it lives here, which I think it will, given the market's doing a lot better, if it lives here, we'll go long for at least 4%, 6%. It has a lot of good volatile moves. It's beautiful price action. Let's check the indicators. So it likes the EMA lines. It likes the 200 a lot. It does a lot of bouncing off of it. The 50, you can see it does curl up here and get stopped by it. So it likes both of them, but luckily they're pretty far away, a good 2 or 3% away. And again, if it overtakes both of them, like it does over here, it takes it over, it takes it over, if it does really good stuff like that, it looks like every time it breaks the 50, it does really good action. So if you can break above that, that'd be dope. RSI just became oversold. Little blue line, it just did. Stochastic can't get too much lower, and it's looking like, no, that's really not any, I guess you can say right there. Let's see, that cuts across it almost, so that's not really a pure one, but it's definitely getting close to being a bullish divergence, so it's getting there. I guess it's not a pure one, so I'd be a little careful to call it that. And RSI is consolidating. I guess a move may be coming, but they're not really, the indicators aren't really for you or against you when it comes to EMA lines and MACD, but this is so low and so is RSI. I can see PNW making a big move here. I prayed to the stock gods and they answer my whims. I mean, the last 4 months, I've just been having a ball, like 28%, 46%, 16%. Bought in here before, man, that was a good 26%. I've been having a blast with this, and now it's coming down. You'll see that there is a historical aspect that previous trendline resistances and supports that may not be horizontal do become support sometimes, and it kind of makes the channel going up. I wouldn't bet the farm on it for sure, but and it also cuts across this area. But I mean, it tested here, it's testing here. It's really a good setup. I mean, like if you buy in now, you can just cut it at $34 if it doesn't hold, and you get out, and you can rebuy in at this old support area, this old resistance area. As you can see, it was just a descending triangle that blasted through. It's such a gorgeous play. If it can live here and make a new trend line up, and we can just redo this, but like higher, that'd be nice. So we'll have to see what happens. You can also see every big candle day above this line was really good money. And it was a big move for here, so I think this is going to be a new trend downward. If it does come to the golden channel, you sell your freaking house and bet that money on it. Big facts. But if this trend line holds, that's great. If not, the support will hold here. Let's check our indicators. So I really enjoy the indicators here. I mean, it was overbought, sure. So it has some room to fall. I think it likes to muddle around the 50. So I wouldn't be surprised if it dies here. Now I could see a dead cat bounce, a little boop, and comes back up and keeps going down. I'm thinking it's going to converge with this support line, this 50 over here. There's no divergences yet because it's just dying so hard. I guess technically you can say there's one over here, but it needs to drop a little bit farther. And then MACD is really coming down. So, I mean, it has No real signs of stopping. I mean, I just want to put it on your radar. If it does live here tomorrow, go long. But realistically, $30, $31.50, $31.25, anywhere there is what you kind of want to buy. And again, this thing has been so good to me. I think the stock gods will respect me again and bring it back to me. So hopefully it drops down a little bit farther. But as this drops, please keep an eye on it. This thing will make you a lot of money. Last and not least, SWI, SolarWinds. We had such a beautiful channel that just got boned, which it happens. I mean, whatever. There's two good things that I see with this. One, this volume node held. Horde. Like it went, and it held here. Now, is this like promising? No. It's not like the greatest thing of all time. But this support coupled with the node, it seems to be holding pretty well. This thing has a history of reversal that kind of do a cup shape, right? This is the perfect cup, right? Well, not perfect, but like, you see what I mean? Like, there's your cup, there's your little baby handle, right? And then, it finished it off, right? This thing has a bowl over here, right? It takes its time, right? These reversals and this action, you know, it bowls out. Even if it's a quick one, like over here, you know, it takes its time. There's definitely a bottom area that levels out at. Now, there are some that are really steep like this one, but again, that's probably due to the channel and the node here. So will I be surprised if this reverses here very soon? No. But again, I would be remiss not to mention that it takes some time to kind of reverse. And you can check back to your old earnings plays, right? That's always a really smart thing to do. Blasted up and came right back down, right? It blasted down and came right back up. Now, this is not earnings related, but again, it could be a pattern yet to come. I like that a lot. So let's check our indicators, but this becomes a new channel. Like this area becomes a new channel over here. It's a great value. And again, your worst case, you cut it at $19, $18.9. You lost 3. But again, if this thing lives, it looks really good. One more thing to mention before I go on to the indicators. Gaps are magnetic. You may not always believe that, but let's look back historically here. There's a gap. Big gap, what happened? It got filled right here. Here's a gap. Gap down, it got filled over here. There's a gap right there. It got filled. Now this is a severe gap. We're talking a good 3% gap, but gaps get filled eventually. It doesn't really matter how far away it is. Gaps, unless it's like a severe bad earnings or something, they will get filled. So I think this is going to be gravitational, pulling it up to get filled again. It's a weird thing that happens. I don't know why it does it, but it does that. Let's check the indicators. So they're good. Volume was just 2 million, and it averages like 100,000. So it had 20 times the average volume in one day, which makes sense. It just collapsed. But now this is another huge, 800,000 candle here. I mean, it's showing life. That's a good sign of a reversal. MACD is historically low. I mean, it just was tanking. So like, how much lower can it get? Stochastic, how much lower can it get? RSI, how much lower can it get? I mean, this is holding, and this hold, that's a great sign, because your next resistance is going to be this MA line that's 7% away. So this isn't some wrapped play we played, or REXR, that it was just a complete destruction, and then it actually came back really, really well. But if you like these kinds of plays, you really like these oversold plays, this one's for you. So that's it. That was our 12 plays for the day. They're all different. We had channel plays, we had wedges up, we had a really big sell-off play, some channels, we have a retesting of a trend line, right? I like to give variety, one, for educational purposes, to see what kind of plays that you can kind of find, and then two, not everyone sees what I sees, and not everyone likes what I like. Some folks really like certain types of plays and really sees value in them that I may not see, so I like to spread the wealth and try and give you as many options as possible. That's what's important, is that you're learning and that you're making some money. With that being said, if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing, liking, and hitting the bell notification. Consider spreading it to your friends. Be like, hey, I got this guy who makes me some good money. He's chill. His sweater game is on fleek, whatever it may be, right? Just let me know. If you need anything, I'm here for you. I want to get as many people through COVID, helping y'all as much as possible. I'm very passionate about that, hence me being in a classroom. And I'm still lonely. So if you need anything else, please let me know. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you guys next time.